In the world of sports, some teams have a disproportionate impact on the disciplines in which they participate. The success of the sport is inextricably related to the teams. Ferrari is that team in Formula One. No name inspires more awe and wonder. The renowned company was founded to support racing endeavors. Its founder, Enzo Ferrari, established the luxury vehicle industry. Since the F1 Championship's inception in 1950, only one other team has participated in every season of the sport. In addition to being the most admired brand in the world, it is the squad with the most titles and victories. The proposed in-season adjustments to the technical regulations are the foundation of Red Bull's adamant opposition to the FIA's involvement in the porpoising and grounding of Formula One's 2022 vehicles. The FIA is stepping in for safety reasons after numerous drivers from various teams reported experiencing back pain and voiced concerns about the possible long-term effects of operating such vehicles. The new ground effect car's poor ride quality is related to this problem, which has also been referred to largely as a porpoising issue. The FIA refers to the issue as aerodynamic oscillations, porpoising, and grounding for this reason, cars repeatedly smashing into the track surface. The fact that Ferrari earns supplementary prize money from the commercial rights holder just for showing up every year to maintain its uninterrupted participation since the championship's birth gives one an idea of how significant it is to Formula One. Additionally, Ferrari has the ability to reject regulations, and in the past, it has threatened to use this against laws that would be detrimental to its interests. But despite these benefits, Ferrari's performance over the past 15 years hasn't been particularly impressive. It last won a constructor's title and a driver's title in 2008 and 2007, respectively. On-track performance has frequently been hampered by the historical significance of the team's image and its importance to Italy's national mentality. The anticipation was that Ferrari, with the power of its riches, would rise to the occasion and resume its winning ways when the regulations were overhauled in 2022. Charles Leclerc, winning the opening race in Bahrain, confirmed the team's claim that it had one of the fastest cars on the grid during preseason testing. After the Ferrari engine overtook the competition as the most potent on the grid in 2019, the FIA published a technical directive on powertrains. Rivals thought the team was using a sneaky, potentially illegal tactic to get around the rules, which prompted the FIA to give a clarification on how the rules should be interpreted. The FIA even looked into Ferrari's engines, but they were unable to find any evidence of misconduct, even though both sides eventually reached a private deal before the 2020 season. The Ferrari engines, however, changed from being the fastest to being the slowest in the speed trap after the order. The team only managed to place 6th in the constructors' standings, which serves as an example of how awful 2020 was. In 2021, it came in 3rd. The 2 early victories this year held a lot of hope in the situation. However, since then, the team's performance has declined as a result of a combination of reliability issues and tactical blunders. 6 more races passed before Carlos Sainz's first ever victory at the British Grand Prix last weekend gave Ferrari its 3rd victory. In the interim, Max Verstappen and Red Bull gained a significant advantage over that squad. Even Sainz's victory, while a pleasant return to the top spot for Ferrari, was not the best outcome in the fight for the Drivers' Championship because Leclerc, the team's main contender for the crown, took a severe beating. Leclerc has a 46-point advantage over Verstappen following the Australian Grand Prix. Leclerc is now 43 points behind the reigning champion and even 9 points behind Sergio Perez following the British Grand Prix. The FIA plans to minimize the amount of vertical oscillations that drivers may experience as a result of this. In addition, the FIA has been focused on central floor flexibility, skid deflection, and skid wear measurement, as stated to teams in a recent updated technical regulation. A complex methodology has been devised to measure and enforce this. The FIA claims that these are inherently tied to the same issue and go hand in hand with the metric, because the stiffness of the floor is a requirement for the metric to be equally applicable to all cars. Additionally, the FIA has recently found considerable deformations above and beyond what the technical specifications were meant to allow in its investigation of each team's planks and skid blocks. The FIA specified that the plank should be solid with a 2 mm tolerance, and that the way the plank and the skid blocks were attached should reflect that in technical discussions between teams and the FIA last year. However, the regulations did not incorporate the precise language of that first advice, and they merely state that a deviation of more than 2 mm is permitted around 2 holes at the plank's leading edge and 2 millimeters at a hole that is slightly further back. No measurements are made farther back, near the driver's seat. However, it is believed that certain teams constructed the mounting of the plank and skid blocks in a way that provides some cushioning. In this instance, the plank is thought to be flexing more than it should, allowing for more forceful use without wearing away. The FIA thinks that the intentionally uneven stiffness of the plank is done to go around the technical specifications intent and permits much lower ride heights, which indirectly improves aerodynamics. Numerous improvements, including specific modifications to the technical regulations, are planned to address this. Ferrari and Red Bull, two teams that are said to have adopted the interpretation the FIA is unhappy with, are opposed to this because they disapprove of modifications made during the season, especially those made unilaterally by the FIA that sidestep the customary governance process. A supermajority of 8 teams must vote in favor of a rule change during the current season, according to the rules. However, if the adjustments are related to safety concerns, the FIA can impose them. The FIA wants to enforce Article 3.5.8a, which is concerned with the permissible central floor flexibility, skid deflection, and skid wear measurement more severely, and aims to introduce revisions to the regulations to guarantee the stiffness of 15 millimeters around the perimeter of the holes is uniform, even though the specific recommendations have not been officially communicated. The FIA's proposal is a specific addition to Article 3.15.8, which states, "The local stiffness around the periphery of these 3 holes for a radius of 15 millimeters outside the edge must be uniform, with a variance not outpacing plus or minus 10%, in reference to the plank deflecting no more than 2 millimeters at the 2 front holes and the rearmost hole." To make sure that more skids are put down around the 3 holes in concern, the plank's overall skid area would be increased. If this is rejected, teams might be required to remove skids in order to use their territory near the 3 holes. This would indicate that some teams are distributing their existing skid material more widely to allow the areas around the holes to flex. The matter is set to be brought up at the F1 Commission meeting on Friday before the Austrian Grand Prix, and teams have until July 12 to comment on the draft technical directive, but the FIA has intimated that it will take whatever action is necessary to pass the rule revisions. The possible safety issues with porpoising and grounding have been prominently emphasized in Nicolas Tombaz's statement to the teams as the technical leader of the FIA single-seater category, and the FIA will deem any regulation changes that strengthen that policing to be vital if it believes that this metric is the best method to do so. If this turns out to be the case, Red Bull and Ferrari, the 2 main opponents of the intervention, won't be able to persuade other teams to support them in voting the changes down. Instead, they'll be compelled to do so on the basis of safety. This was all about the video today.